Hari Om. Chapter 16. The Asuri and the Daivi, the evil and the divine, they come together, they reside together, they sit together in us and in the universe, which is exemplified by Duryodhan and Arjun both approaching Krishna at the same time for help. But because of the Abhiman and the Dambha and the Darpa of Duryodhan, he thought that he gained a lot by accepting the army of Krishna, but in the long run he was the loser. We saw that. And Arjun, because of his humility and because of his clarity that only and only Krishna can help me, I am not going to go for the vast army of Krishna. I want Krishna. He chose well, he chose wisely, and he chose one single Krishna, and he was victorious. So we can see through this story how is it that we are leading our lives? What is it that we choose? Do we choose the multifarious activities and people and events and wealth, of course, of the world and all the attractions of the world? There are far too many. Or do we choose that one single highest truth, which is Krishna? What we choose will bring us to our true destiny. Arjun was taken to not only the victory in the war, which is of course just a symbolic victory, but also towards his spiritual liberation. So what we choose right now in the sansar is going to determine our destiny going forward. This is exemplified by the story of Duryodhan and Arjun. So Asuri and Daivi, they are not evil people somewhere out there. There is evil in us. Kama, Krodha, Mad, Lobha, Moha. Only thing is that we probably blanket it or cover it or justify it or keep it lying in the subconscious, are afraid to bring it up to the conscious level or even to accept it. There is a fear. But yes, it resides in all of us. But to confront it, face it, bring up the evil, let's call it, the not so divine responses in us, to bring it to the fore and to examine them, to be able to confront them itself is a victory. Now, Bhagwan in 16th chapter is saying, please at least distinguish between the Daivi and Asuri Pravritti. The moment you make a distinction, which means you can recognize the two. A recognition of it itself means that you can make the right choice. I can't make a choice if I don't recognize one as evil and the other as divine. In fact, I have grown up, and the way my social conditioning and psychological conditioning in the world has been such, and also in the family and in the schooling, that I am told that all the so-called Asuri pravrittis of competition, of one-upmanship, of accumulation, of hoarding, of status and acquisition is actually what is most approved of, most respected and respectable. In fact, they are treated as divine. I have got totally confused. That is moha. This illusion and confusion is called moha, a little ahead by Krishna, saying that you are living in illusion, my dear Arjun. Know what is the true divine. What is most respectable and what is most honored in this world may not necessarily be the divine, Daivic qualities that Krishna is talking about. And therefore, he has started first by talking about what are the Daivi qualities. And of course, he talked about Teja, Kshama, Dhriti, steadfastness, the ability to focus and forgive, and forbearance, fortitude in the face of so many difficulties. There is no one in the world who will not have difficulties. But we think that our own obstructions and obstacles are the most troublesome. And therefore we make a little narrative around, a little story around our complaining. So our little complaining stories go on and on about our own petty troubles. Bhagwan says Dhriti is a divine quality, forbearance, fortitude, bear the worst, because there are people who are in worse conditions and you have no vision, no sight, no time to even glance at them, because we are so consumed by our own petty little troubles. Dhriti, Adroha, why have hatred towards anyone, even those who wrong us? So having talked about so many beautiful qualities, ahimsa, satya, why do we even need to speak the slightest untruth? Daya, are we able to forgive? Now, having said that in the earlier verses, in chapter 16, Bhagwan has started saying, now I'm going to tell you about the Asuri qualities. Not so that you judge others, but so that you can recognize them when you see them in yourself and in others. If you recognize them in yourself, do not sink into some kind of guilt, because the guilt trip is also Asuri. The only wise thing to do is to rise above it and to recognize it and to know that it's part of Prakriti. And so therefore, Bhagwan in 16th chapter, 8th verse, where we stopped, says, chapter 16, verse number 8, Asatyam apratishtham te jagadahuranishwaram aparaspara sambhutam kimanyat kama haitukam. The Asuri people, in the language of Krishna, Asuri, we can just call them the non-divine or the demoniac, the diabolical, strong words. The universe for them has no truth or universal truth underlying. They say whatever is in the sansar, yahi to hai, sab upar jo dikhta hai. तो खाओ पियो और मस्त रहो, इसमें क्या है? So Krishna is saying they do not have a vision or a sight even to understand that all this which you can see through your senses only is outer, is asatya, because it's visible and it's gross and it is accessible to your senses only. It is asatya, and they think that this asatya world is the only thing, and therefore they become anishwaram. The last word in the first line, anishwaram, that there is no higher energy, no higher Ishwar, no God, no higher intelligence in this world. No, I don't believe it, they say. Who? Asuri people. They say, no, I don't believe it. Try striking up a conversation with them and they will strike down all your arguments, saying, no, I don't see anything, give me the proof, etc., etc. So they become anishwaram. No God, no substratum of truth on which this Maya world is playing. That's what they say. And we know very well that there are only two things in this world, Purusha and Prakriti. That Bhagwan has said in the 13th chapter. Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha is that higher intelligence. Prakriti is what is all manifest as this sansar. But Asuri people believe and lay claim only to the Prakriti part. And they say, what? Prakriti is what we see and Prakriti is the entire truth. Yes, it is half the truth of the world, but it is not the entire truth. So Prakriti is all that they believe in and not in higher consciousness. If you ask them कि आपका स्वयं का consciousness कहाँ से आता है? Are you conscious of the world? Can you point out where is consciousness in your body? In your head, under the skin, in your nails, in your eyes, on the heart, where? Point out. They will not be able to point out. Consciousness, I am conscious, but I don't know what it is. They don't want to take the dialogue any deeper than the gross level, which is visible to the senses only. जो दिखता है, सुनाई देता है, वही सत्य है. So they will not take the conversation any deeper. And they think that the sansar of pleasure and comfort and seeking of all this pleasure and comfort is my purpose in life. इसमें क्या खराबी है? So, describing them a little further, such people, Bhagwan, by the way, is not passing judgment on anyone. He is trying to say that in order to save such people, in order to be their savior, I have to get them to know what is dragging them down. Otherwise, I cannot even save them or liberate them. मोक्ष की ओर कैसे जाएंगे? And therefore, with that purpose, he says कि ये आसुरी लोग कैसे होते हैं? Verse number 9. A few more verses will describe the same Asuri, almost up to verse number 15, 16. Number 9. Etan drishtimavadrishtabhya nashtan manolpabuddhayah prabhavantya yugra karmanaha क्षयाय जगतो हिताः एतान् दृष्टिमवष्टभ्य. In their view, उनके दृष्टि, उनकी व्यू में क्या है, that this world is what is visible to the senses, and such persons Krishna is calling in the last word of the first line alpa buddhayah. They are people of very limited, very petty, very small minds which are sunk and blanketed by खाओ पियो मजा करो. क्यों, उसमें क्या हर्ज है? So when we try to strike a conversation with such people, and they are wealthy and happy and by and large comfortable in their lives, they say, हाँ इसमें क्या हर्ज है? We move from party to party, or from club to club, or from event to event, which brings us pleasure, and we look forward to the next event of pleasure and the next event of pleasure, or whatever, and that's all. We are fine. They say we are fine, because one of them even offered an argument saying कि आप कह रहे हो कि आपके कर्मों का फल आगे अगले जन्मों में आपको भुगतना पड़ेगा. यानी कि अगर हम सिर्फ और सिर्फ pleasure seeking and lead a life of materialistic pleasure seeking, then that is the entire destiny of my future lives. I will find only such kind of seeking. तो हमने, वो कहते हैं, आगे किसने देखा है, कल किसने देखा है, अगला जन्म किसने देखा है? तो फिर आप इसकी बात मत करो. किसी ने नहीं देखा है, आपने देखा है अगला जन्म? नहीं. तो it's almost as if our argument is snuffed down. But suppose we ask them, आपने कल देखा है? आपका कल मतलब यानी कि the next day. नहीं, हमने कल नहीं देखा. Then why are you hoarding the wealth? आप क्यों, किस लिए जमा कर रहे हैं इतना कि मुझे और चाहिए? This is not enough, that's not enough, and that's not enough. So I'm sure you know of such people who have one home and then the other home and then a private home which is away from the city, and then a farmhouse, and then you have a beautiful farmhouse, and I know people who abandon those for 6 months of the year to go and stay in some other hill station, saying that, oh, I like the hills, so I want to enjoy the hills too. So the big mansions and houses that they've built down in the plains and decorated and embellished with all the beautiful artifacts, they lie silent and quiet and dark for 6 months because they are enjoying another home, another rented place up in the hills or down by the seashore or another country for months together. Why is this restlessness of moving from place to place? When you say that the world can give me the happiness, stay in one place and enjoy it. But we will find that whatever wealth we gather, or comfort or luxury or beauty or the big houses we gather around us, after some time they go stale. They go stale and they stop giving us the kind of kick that they gave us in the beginning, and therefore we are moving. So we can ask such people, आपने कल देखा है अपना? नहीं. तो फिर आप इस चीजों का संग्रह किस लिए कर रहे हैं? हम अपने कल के लिए कर रहे हैं, so that I have a continued pleasure and comfort for the rest of my life. They say. In the same way, हमने भी अपना अगला जन्म नहीं देखा है, हमने अपना कल नहीं देखा है, लेकिन हमको संग्रह करना है. I have to have the संपत्ति of a sattvic life and of spiritual seeking and finding that highest truth, or at least to be on that journey, so that मेरा कल भी सुरक्षित हो. It's the same argument. Same argument, only संपत्ति is अलग. एक है दैविक संपत्ति और एक है मटीरियलिस्टिक और आसुरी संपत्ति. दोनों चाहते हैं कि हमने कल दोनों ने नहीं देखा है, लेकिन आगे की सुरक्षा के लिए करना चाहते हैं. So भगवान says such people are अल्प बुद्धि ही. Sometimes he uses strong words because they don't see too far. It's myopic short-sightedness. मुझे आज का प्लेजर मिल जाए काफी है, मुझे अपना आज का बैंक बैलेंस सुरक्षित दिखना चाहिए, काफी है. Now Bhagwan says there is one more thing that is troublesome about such people. The thing is that they are not only believing in the world, but they are ugra karmanaha. Ugra karmanaha means in the world they are extremely active and fierce. Ugra karmanaha. Their actions are vigorous and they are ambitious. Why? Because they have a higher ambition to gain this or that or something else next, and that ambition never ends. And all this action, so much of vigorous, ugra karmanaha, vigorous action, is for something in the sansar itself. For some personal satisfaction and a lot of energy, a lot of shakti and samarthya. They are, believe me, they are very, very capable people with excellent minds, sharp minds and good health. They have all this samarthya, but it is expended in seeking more and more. And having tasted all the tastes of life, taste that is the family and extended families and children and grandchildren, having tasted every flavor in life, let's call it, they would still say, हाँ, अब और क्या है आगे, what's on my plate next? But having tasted so many flavors, don't we, like Shakespeare said, doesn't the appetite sicken? And once the appetite will sicken, then I will be free of it. That's how Shakespeare looked at it. But we don't. The Alpa Buddhi, we don't. And such people, they even impose their materialistic thinking on those around them. And so if we are not firm in our conviction about what is the purpose of life, we can be led very easily, led away by such people. And they are also ugra karmanaha, vigorous and ambitious, and very, very fierce in their actions, because they do not want others to surpass them in wealth or fame or beauty or achievement or audha or status or fame. So दूसरों की उन्नति उनसे देखी भी नहीं जाती. All this is an asuri quality, isn't it? कि हम दूसरों की खुशी में अपनी खुशी न देख सकें. दूसरों की उन्नति हो तो कुछ हमारे मन में कुछ मुरझा सा जाता है. If we are not watching it, it is happening. Even if it's a slight twinge of envy, a slight twinge of अरे इनको कैसे हो गया, हमारे पास नहीं है. That is asuri, and it will lead us further and further downward. What is all this action for? At the end of it, to discover disappointment. अगर disappointment नहीं होता तो हमने जो इतने मन से 20 साल पहले एक छोटा सा मकान बनाया था उसी में रहते ना. Why would I expand my material samrajya? Why would I expand it unless I was insecure or greedy or both, or wondering whether my pleasure lies in expansion itself, materialistic expansion, I mean. So a non-believer in Bhagwan has nothing else to hang on to. There is no higher truth to hang on to. So there is only this material world, and there are people who gather around you and they admire your beautiful chandeliers and windows and window dressings, I mean, and all the upholstery and all the beautifully done up houses. And when they come and admire, we say, maybe that admiration gives me a kick, and maybe that becomes my ashraya. Ashraya meaning my support for having a good life. But a good life cannot be supported on something so flimsy. So Bhagwan is saying, asuri qualities, watch out. And he goes on to say in verse number 10, Kamam ashritya dushpuram dambhamana madanvitaha mohat grihitva sadgrihan pravartante shuchivritaha. Such people, of course, they seem to have some kind of an insatiable desire. Because if the desires were not insatiable, why would they go on and on? There's logic to it. So in daily life, how do these people live? Kama and ashratya. They're dependent on the fulfillment of desires. कि मुझे ये desire fulfill हो जाए, चाहे वो desire कितना भी fleeting हो. And every desire is fleeting, by the way. Fleeting, moving on. And then, so their dependence is, ashratya means dependence, is on the fleeting fulfillment of these fleeting desires. And therefore they seem to live from desire to desire, and and not only that, there's more to it. What they want to display is dambhamanama danvetaha, which is worse, which means that छोटे छोटे achievements जो हमको मिल जाते हैं उस effort से, for those small little achievements, everything in this sansar, whatever we achieve is small, by the way. So in the perspective of the universe, and cosmic truth, everything is petty. In the perspective of Krishna, everything we achieve in the sansari sense is petty. With every petty achievement, these people gain more and more dambha, mana, hypocrisy, pride, meanness and arrogance. I am not saying it, Krishna is saying it. That means Krishna has seen a whole lot of people, not in our yug, but in his own yug. So whether the yug is Satya Yug or any other yug, where the people, the quality of life and the quality of mind will be the same. Then why did we call one yug Sat? That's because majority of people may be Sattvic. And in our yug, Kali Yug, the majority of people may have become Rajasic or Tamasic. Therefore, but the qualities of the mind remain the same. With every achievement, they think that they have gained a great deal, and then they are filled with pride and hypocrisy and meanness and arrogance. That's the second phrase in the first line. Dambhamana madanvitaha. Such is the quality of their mind, and such is the quality of their lives. And therefore, if we meet them or choose to spend time in their company, that's all that we will hear about their achievements and how cool they feel about what they have done in life, and in some way insidiously trying to show us that we are not where they are. So the whole conversation revolves around this sansaric dambha, hypocrisy and pride and arrogance. And you will find that if you become just a bit aware, it happens in many social conversations. Unless we choose to draw away mentally from it, we can be sucked into it and become party to it. Now, all the ability and experience that they have gained in life are directed, let's say, channelized towards satisfying more and more desires. I may have desire for fame, कि मुझे कोई recognize करे, मेरी कोई प्रशंसा करे, तो लोकेश ना उसको कहते हैं, तो and I may move towards that. So desire doesn't mean only desire for objects and things and chandeliers and no, it can mean a whole lot more, which we are not able to pull out of our subconscious mind. It lies deep, embedded deep in our subconscious. Such a one who is in the Asuri, held in the grip of Asuri Pravritti, such a one, Bhagavan says in the second line, is Mohat Grihitvar. Mohat Grihitva, that means he is in such a delusion about life that he or she becomes completely resolved कि मुझे ना तो स्क्रिप्चर की ज़रूरत है, ना मुझे किसी से हायर ट्रूथ के बारे में सुनना है, ना मुझे किसी ऋषि या ग्रंथ के बारे में सुनना है. आपने पढ़ा है, ठीक है, बहुत अच्छा, मुझे नहीं सुनना है. अगर 6,000 years, 10,000 years से कोई एक बात कह रहा है, there must be some small grain of truth in scriptures which have survived thousands of years. अरे सुन तो लो. नहीं, मुझे नहीं सुनना है. They are resolved not to go to a katha, to a pravachan, to a mandir, to a tirth. हमें क्या लेना देना उससे? Such people are mohad grihitva, says Krishna. उनका मोह कुछ ज़्यादा ही strong है. Illusion. What is their wrong understanding? That my life is doing fine. And this is what I have been conditioned and taught about happiness and success. कि मुझे happiness and success and joy is in my promotions and audha and status and prashansa, lokeshna and vitteshna, the amount of my wealth. Bhagwan has turned this whole philosophy upside down and saying, no, you have to look another way. Na to dhan mein, vitteshna, na to putra mein, putreshna, na to family mein, na to lokeshna, in fame and approval, appreciation from people. Aapka real joy, which is permanent joy, lies elsewhere. When Krishna or any other grantha or the Quran or the Bible turns this philosophy upside down, they become uncomfortable. Anyone would be uncomfortable. कि जो मैंने इतने सालों से believe किया है, what I have been led to believe, and my whole foundation of my life and my self-esteem rests on that belief. आप उस belief को हटा देंगे या हिला देंगे, I don't feel comfortable at all. So psychologically, I am shaken, and that's why there is a resistance by many people, thousands of people to say, हाँ ठीक है, ग्रंथ ठीक है, लेकिन ऐसा जीवन हमारे लिए नहीं है. You know, it is for the muni and the fakir and the sant and the sadhu. मैं वो सब तो नहीं हूँ. अब मुझे अपना संसारी जीवन जीने दो, मुझे छोड़ दो. So out of discomfort, they actually resist any exposure to katha or to pravachan or to scriptures, and it's natural because it's a psychological resistance to anything new which shakes their foundational belief. Therefore, one has to be only like Arjun when he says, I put down my weapons. You know, our weapons are all our false beliefs, and we refuse to put them down and say that, okay, I'm opening this scripture or the Quran or the Bible or the Granth or the Gita, it doesn't matter. I'm opening this scripture, I want to know the truth. And when I put down my weapons, that means I empty my mind of all the material beliefs or sansari beliefs I have been led to believe. Only then can I open the doors to a new knowledge. Otherwise, it will just remain like knocking on a locked door. And that key to the door is with me, but I refuse to unlock it. That's completely up to the receiver, the listener. The scriptures are always there, always accessible. And they are accessible at every corner of the street. If we care to look, there will be some pravachan or mandir or sanstha or study group or something will be going on. If we care to look, it's accessible. Now, in this endless and tireless game of sense gratification, what do? Ashuchi vritaha. Such people also, Bhagavan says, become, last word, second line, Ashuchi vritaha, somewhat inconsiderate, somewhat intolerant of other people. Why? Because my predominant belief is that mera gratification pehle, rest of the world next. If that is my predominant belief, then naturally I'll be inconsiderate and insensitive and intolerant of other people around me. So Bhagavan says, watch out, you can become such a ashuchi vrita.